I did a lot of work with Prudential of America back in the 70s and early 80s. And their sales went up by hundreds of millions of dollars. One ex-VP said he thinks it went over $1 billion. I was showing them how to alter their conditioned behavior, and their sales just went crazy. But when I talk about the Oscar, I was thinking about that company. They had what was called the trophy, the President's Trophy. There was one trophy given out for vice presidents. There was one trophy given out for senior vice presidents. There was one trophy given out for managers. There was one trophy given out for sales managers. There was one trophy given out for agents. So on every level in the company, there was only one trophy. And that was to the numero uno, the number one. Then they had an award for the top 10%. And I'd spoken at a convention. I was living in Los Angeles here, but I'm from Toronto, and the office out of Houston, their regional office, was holding their conferences in Toronto at the Hyatt. I said, I'm from Toronto. I'd love to do it. So I was going to work there for a couple of mornings for each region. One region would move out, another one would come in. Well, this one guy, when they announced that I was going to be working for 2.5 hours this day, he said, God, that's going to be so dull. I hope this guy, knows how to find another job because he's not going to last here. Well, after the meeting, this same guy, company said, can I talk to you for a few minutes? I said, okay, but I got to get the hell out of here because there's a lot of these people want to talk to me. So I said, I'll meet you in the coffee shop. So we met in the coffee shop, just inside the coffee shop. He said, before I ask you what I would like you to share with me, he said, I want to tell you something about me. He said, I've been with this company for 24 years. I've been in management for 22 of the 24 years. And he said, I'm a damn good man. And you could look at this guy. You would hire him on site. He looked like a real solid guy. And he said, I do a good job. But he said, I stand, I think it was 285 in the company. Now he said, that's not bad out of 510 districts or something like that. He said, my district stands 285. He said, I'd like to think that I could get one award before I retire. Now, to do that, you had to be in the top 10%. They only give it out to, I think, 55 districts. And that was all over the world. This is the number one insurance company, the largest insurance company in the world. And I said then, I could show you how to do that in about 15 minutes. He'd been working at it for 22 years. Every day he had been working at it. But he was working the wrong way. If he had worked for 44 years, he'd have never made it happen. He was doing the wrong things. He was violating the law. He was trying to get. I said, that dog won't hunt. You just can't do it. And I said, you told me you were 285. I said, what you have to do, you have to see yourself in the top 50. You have to see yourself where you want to be. You've got to live like that person. It's like, William James from Harvard, way back in 1900, he says the actor's technique. Act like the person you want to become. I was talking to an actress a couple of days ago, fairly well-known one, and I said, let's think of a stage play. You've gone to the theater. Now, let's think there's 3 or 4 of us involved in this one scene. And 3 of the people are really into this. They know their lines. They've got into character. I'm knowing my lines intellectually. I've memorized them, and I can say them. but I'm not really in character. I just have the words. And I'm just saying the words. The audience would say, where the hell did they find that guy? I would stand out like a beacon on a dark night, where all the rest of the actors are in character. They're really into it. They're living it. I would just be saying it. I said to this guy, that's what you're doing. You're saying where you want to be. I said, you've got to be there. You've got to be there. You've got to treat the people like they have taken the district to that level. I said, you've got to walk that way. You've got to talk that way. You've got to actually live it. If you don't, it is never going to happen because you've been trying for 22 years. And we had him write out a statement. I am so happy now that I am and being where he wants to be. Now, he was in Wichita, Kansas. He said, where are you working? I said, next week I'm working with Mid-America. I'm going to be in Litchfield, Illinois. He said, could I come and travel with you? Well, I said, I'm not really too fond of you doing that, but okay. You know, like when you're finished, you want to be finished. You want to go and relax. But anyway, he came. He sat through the seminar. We traveled. We were driving. We'd do an all-day seminar and then maybe drive 300 miles to get to the next one to work all the next day. I keep telling the people in our company, you got no idea what this was like when we started. And at any rate, he traveled with me for about 4 days, and then he went home. And they moved him to Pittsburgh, Kansas. Now, Pittsburgh, Kansas, 60 to 70% of the population had an income below the national poverty level. It's a little wee place out in the middle of nowhere. The first year, he went to something like 52 or something like that. The next year, he was number 1 in the world. Number 1 in the world. Beat all the districts, New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, big cities. I said, it makes no difference. Doesn't matter where you are. I said, what the hell? They're skiing over in the desert in Dubai. Snow skiing. It's in here. Paul Hutsey is his name. You can get away with blaming conditions or circumstance yourself, but not with spirit.